Here we are already at the beginning of fall, and this time of year my thoughts go to what I'm going to cook for the holidays. Today we're going to be cooking one of my favorite things that I like to make for the holidays. It is a pumpkin roll cake. It looks elegant, it's easy to make, and it's also fun. If you enjoy this video today, please click on like, ring the little bell so you'll continue to get our videos, share it with your friends. And if you have your favorite desserts that you like to make for the holidays, please post them in the comments. So let's get cooking. The first step in making our cake is a really important step because you don't want your cake to stick at all. So not only are we going to prep our pan with some shortening, and I mean really slather it on. We're going to prep our pan, then we're going to put parchment paper down, and we're going to slather that with our shortening as well. And this will just prevent our cake from sticking. Okay, I think that's enough on our pan. And then take a piece of parchment paper and set it on the pan. So now we have our shortening in our pan, and we have our parchment paper on top of that. We're going to take more shortening and grease our parchment paper. And again, you want to really put a lot of shortening on your paper, because when we take our cake out of the oven, we'll just peel this off. We need to roll our cake up while it's still warm. So now we have our pan prepped, we'll get to mixing our cake. So now we're ready to bake our cake. We have our oven preheating to 350 degrees. We're going to start with 3 eggs. We're just going to beat these just a little bit before we add our dry ingredients. Okay, to our 3 eggs, we're going to add 3/4 of a cup of flour, 1/2 cup of white sugar, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Now our flour was just all-purpose flour. We're going to put in 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. We're going to put in a teaspoon of cinnamon. A 1/2 teaspoon of cloves. a teaspoon of vanilla flavoring. Now this is pure vanilla, but I think vanilla extract would probably work fine. And 3/4 of a cup of pumpkin puree. You don't want the pre-mixed pumpkin pie filling. It already has spices and things in it. And I'm not sure how it would work with this. So you want just the pure puree because you're going to add your own ingredients. Once you have that all in your bowl, you're just going to give it a quick mix with your mixer, and it'll be ready to go in the oven. Stop and stir down my sides a little bit. I think I needed a little deeper bowl. Okay, we're going to put it in our pan now and get it in the oven. I need my spatula back, honey, please. You want to spread this completely onto your prepped pan. You want to get it as even as you can. Okay, it's ready to go in the oven. Now, depending on your oven, some ovens cook quicker than others. This is going to take anywhere from 12 to 16 minutes. I would start checking it after 12. You'll know it's done when you can touch it and it springs back. Okay, this is an important step as well. It's prepping our cloth that we're going to be rolling our cake up into. What I like to do, you can do this on your cabinet if you want to, but I like to put it on this board and put some powdered sugar down. You're going to put, again, just like we did with our prepping our pan, we're going to prep both sides of our towel that we're going to roll our cake up in. You put some powdered sugar there, and then put your cloth down. some onto your cloth. And then you're going to do the same thing on this side. And you need to be generous with it, because again, you don't want your cake to stick to your towel. And a coating of sugar on the outside of your cake makes it look pretty too. Alright, so we've got that prepped, so as soon as our cake comes out of the oven, while it's still hot, we're going to put it on this and roll it up. Alright, so while it's still hot, we want to take our cake and our parchment paper and flip it onto our towel. And then we want to roll it up while it's still hot. And just go slow so you don't crack your cake. Okay, now we wait for our cake to cool completely, and once it's cooled, it'll unroll beautifully. We can put our cream cheese on the cake and then roll it back up. So we've had our cake roll cooling for several hours on a cooling rack. And now we're going to just set it to the side and mix up our filling. We'll unroll it and put our filling on and roll it back up. One thing I failed to mention this morning, the size pan that I used was a 10 by 15 inch jelly roll pan. For our filling, we need 8 ounces of cream cheese at room temperature. You can either just leave it out for several hours until it reaches room temperature, or you can soften it in your microwave. And then we've got 4 tablespoons of softened butter that I've left out this afternoon to soften. We need 1 cup of confectionery sugar or powdered sugar. And a teaspoon of vanilla. And that's all that goes into our filling. I'm just going to stir it a little bit so I don't make a white cloud of sugar when I start with the mixer. So now we're just going to take our hand mixer and blend this until it's smooth. You want it just as smooth as you can get it, and that's why it's important to let your cream cheese and your butter come to room temperature. sides of my bowl. And we'll be ready to put our filling in our cake. Scrape some of our filling from our beater so we can get it all in our cake. This stuff is too good to waste. Cream cheese filling is one of my favorite kinds of filling, or icing. I could just sit and eat it with a spoon and a bowl. Okay. Do you have a favorite icing or filling? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to know your ideas. Okay, so you can see this is just a nice spreading consistency. So now we're going to bring our cake roll back over. And we're going to carefully unroll it. Now, we'll put our filling in and roll it back up, and we'll be done. And your family and your friends are going to be so impressed with your cake roll. Not only does it look pretty, but it tastes wonderful. The first time I saw one of these, I thought, man, they went to a lot of trouble. But as you can see, it's just a process. It's not intimidating at all once you get started. It's just go step by step. You want to spread it to about 1/8 of an inch from the edge so that it doesn't squirt out when you roll it up. Some of it will probably still come out, but that's okay. Alright, now we're going to roll it back up, and because it was rolled in that towel when it was hot, that helps it retain its shape. And we're just going to roll it back into our log. Now before you serve it, you want to chill it for several hours. And there you have it. There's our cake roll. And if you want to dust some more powdered sugar on it so you have a more uniform coating, that'll make it even more attractive. And if you want to get fancy and do more decorating, you certainly can. But there it is. You can, if I can get it in the camera, there you can see it and see how perfectly it rolled back up. So now it's been 2 hours since we wrapped our pumpkin cake roll in plastic wrap and put it in the refrigerator. And that was so the cream cheese filling could get firm. It makes for easier slicing and a prettier cut on your cake roll. And what I usually do is cut off the two end pieces. And Wayne likes it when I do that because he knows he's going to get some cake. And the reason for that is because your filling doesn't go completely to the end of your cake. And I'll turn this around so you can see the end of it and see the filling. And we'll do the same thing on the other end. And you don't need to cut off a whole lot. You just want it to cut it enough to get to the filling. Just lay those pieces to the side. Those are brains. And there again you can see the end piece now is full of filling, and that's what you want. So when you cut your first piece, it's got filling all the way through on both sides. So there you have it. Thanks for watching Cooking and Storing with Ann and Wayne. Here's wishing you good food, safe storing, and happiness.